Sooner Nation, welcome to Pregame Live with Sooner Surge. And going to be a great day of football. Football all around, starting with OU early this morning, a little breakfast, lunch, as we're used to as Sooner fans. Man, the pictures I'm seeing from Provo really makes me wish I was there, Jeremy.
Oh, yeah. And forecast today, it's perfect football weather.
Yep.
Little bit on the chilly side, I guess, but that's expected in Utah in November.
Yeah, and looks like a huge OU crowd that came down there for that game. So that's awesome. And I'm sure most of them just wanted to experience it before they're out of the Big 12. This would be a game I would love to see. You know, you have to play one Power 5 team, I believe, is the way they're trying to work it with that conference, non-conference schedule. I would love BYU to be one of those every other year or something. I mean, it'd just be I think it's a great team to play on the road. It's a great setting. And also at home, it'd be a good game to schedule a lot. I would love to see it. Yeah, Jackson, that's what we're talking about. The scenery is unreal. And I've been to Utah. I've been to Zion National Park there in Utah, but haven't been over at Provo or Salt Lake. I've always wanted to, and it just looks beautiful. Infidel says it's 39 degrees and raining right now, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's the rain. I'm not sure how much rain they're going to get, though. I think it's going to maybe be done by – I know there's a 50% chance.
Well, we're still 2 hours from kickoff, so.
Let's just hope if there's some mist that Levy doesn't do what he pulled in Lawrence.
Surely he's learned from his lesson on that, right? And your comparisons of Kansas, what Jackson heard as well with the misty rain. And let's hope they've learned. And he says, Infidel says it's going to stop by kickoff supposedly, so we'll see. But yeah, it should be interesting today. I'm interested to see as the game gets closer here if we see any guys that are held out with injury or anything like that. And Infidel's right. You got to run the offense regardless. And Levy has to learn from Kansas. You can't. These aren't flag football second graders. You know, these are college athletes. That play football. Even my flag football team was more aggressive in the rain than what Levy was against Kansas. Come on.
One thing we do have to realize, though, as well, not realize, but recognize and kind of call the attention is OU has been very good running the ball. Now, they were great passing the ball, too, but even you go back to the Kansas game, the running attack seems to have been fixed. That was a concern early in the year that is not still there. Am I right?
I would agree with that. And just like Jackson says here, feed Sawchuk, throw the ball down the field. I mean, I think that's a simple success pattern for OU right there. And just like Infidel says, when you're a better team, when you have more talent, you don't need to be messing around with stuff.
Trickery can be thrown out the window. Just go beat them.
Go beat them. Be who you are and go beat them. You're way more talented. It's like Bigsby in high school football. They just go out and destroy people. And when you're that much better and OU is way more talented than BYU. Come on, right? So this game, let's hope it's a great game by OU. We're enjoying lunch, chilling out, getting ready for the next two games tonight that we need to go. One of them needs to go our way. So
just really want a stress-free game, dude, from the fan perspective, man. I mean, it's getting tiresome going into these games that you should dominate and being stressed out watching them because you just don't know what to expect.
But Jeremy, this is really their third true road game of the year. Look at the other two. Bad. Horrible.
That's what I'm saying.
So you can't – I mean, you would think this should be an easy win, but you should – I mean, Kansas and OSU should have been easy wins, but they should have been wins, and OU played awful. So I don't know. You got to get off to a good start again offensively. I think if Slovis is playing for BYU, he can't move very well. You don't know how healthy he is. You got to bring pressure early and often.
Yeah, I want to see a few sacks. Like that's kind of been an area of concern, in my opinion, that we haven't really been able to just get after the quarterback a whole lot. Some of it's because they've dropped into some zone coverage, but can you get after Slovis a little? I hope so. Can we maybe get a couple of fumbles off the quarterback, off the blindside blitz. I want to see some of that.
I would agree, and I would agree. The defensive line, as far as getting pressure, has been one of the weaker spots. I know it just winning one-on-one battles. I think more on the inside they've done better. I think the ends lately have been a little bit not getting a whole lot of pressure. Hey Blake, how are you today?
Blake's
From
probably
Utah.
Blake's about 2 hours from kickoff there in Utah. He's probably ahead of the game right now.
Yeah, a little bit of misty rain there. So, how about Colorado last night? Just getting pummeled. Remember not too long ago when Colorado was going to be going to a bowl game and they had a couple of Heisman Trophy candidates? What happened to that, right? Wow.
Oh, they're losing people.
All right, Blake said it's not raining, no storms. So, yeah, he's on his way to the stadium. You know what's crazy, Jeremy, is this is the last road game of the year, and we're down to 2 games left in the regular season. How fast can a season go? It's amazing.
Yeah, and hey, if OU was in the SEC, this would be their bye week against some horrible opponent. That there's nothing good in the SEC.
Georgia, Tennessee this week. That's the only.
That's the only one, but all the others are the slap
And,
fest opponent.
and Georgia, Tennessee had to have one good game for CBS is what that is. That's the only reason that's happening. So,
look,
yeah.
the focus for any OU fan right now is not even nationally. OU's not getting to the playoff. The focus for OU fans is take care of business like you should. Stand on business. That's what we learned this week, Jay. Stand on business and watch these other games that in the Big 12 that mean something, because this could be a special day where OU gets back in the mix for the Big 12 title hunt.
Yeah, welcome, Kimberly. Hope you're having a good morning. Yeah, Blake, have a blast. I mean, I'm so jealous for the ones that are getting to go to this game. I mean, so jealous. When I went to Utah 2 years ago, it was so beautiful, and to watch a game right there in the mountains, it just looks unreal. So,
Hey, I want to see that. I want to hear what Blake says when he gets there. Maybe, possibly, if he's still on, or maybe he can comment. How many Sooner fans he maybe sees en route there, because everything I've seen is that the OU contingent is elite and it's shown up.
big time. That's what I've heard too. And I do think I picked Texas to lose today. Jeremy, I think you picked them to win, but I think they're going to lose tonight, Micah. I really do. And it's not just coming because I'm a Sooner fan and I want them to lose. I just think Iowa State is playing really good football right now. It's at Iowa State. It's a game. They've already talked some smack, Iowa State. They feel confident. I think they're going to get them tonight.
Hey, I think that hearing what Infidel says about OU backing in, it would definitely be a back in. Okay. But if they could dominate, because it would be apropos because OU has been the dominant team in this conference since it began, and they need to be the one dominating at the end.
That's true. They need. And I don't care how you get in there, a back end or whatever. It would be so nice to end the Big 12 with the Big 12 championship. OU's dominated the conference. Everybody knows that. To not win it in the final year, that would be disappointing. And if they could get there somehow losing to Kansas and OSU, it would be kind of funny. But Coconut Greg, welcome in. BYU, I hope Sooner Nation shows up to Provo. They've showed up. They're out there. They're excited. There are a lot of them out there. So I've talked to many people that are on their way, that were on their way yesterday. So
hey,
should be a great atmosphere.
Did you see Toby Rowland's stat about with OU out of the conference and Texas out of the conference that BYU Stadium is going to be the largest seating capacity?
Seriously? It doesn't even look like that big of a stadium.
Apparently, it's pretty big seating capacity. I was
Does
curious.
It look big to you?
Maybe Blake knows, or we can get someone to check that out. But
does it look big to you? It doesn't look that big to me.
It's pretty big, Jay, seating wise.
Welcome, Jerry. Glad you're on here. Appreciate it. Yeah, Texas
all four sides.
Weekend.
All four sides are. I mean, so it's not. It doesn't have a blank space really.
Yeah. Hey, Jeremy. Better chance of losing today, OSU or Texas?
I still think there's a better chance OSU lose. Hey, Blake. Really? Yeah, that's the great thing is the wind adds so much. The wind makes it so much worse in the elements. And, Blake is saying that there's not really any wind, so that's good.
I didn't know it held that much, Blake. That's surprising to me. Did you, Jeremy?
I was thinking it was probably mid 50,000, but
I didn't think it
63,000
was
is
over
very
50.
impressive. And I would guess today there'll be 20,000 Sooner fans. Is that too many, you think, Jay?
I was thinking 15, maybe 20. I mean, and that
What do
might be
you,
too many,
what
but
do you guys think? How many Sooner fans are we looking at maybe being in attendance? Because
yeah, but Jeremy,
BYU is not going to have it's not going to overflow there.
yeah, but Jeremy, remember when the schedule came out? The game that everybody wanted to go to on the road was BYU. Do you remember that?
I
All Sooner
absolutely
fans
do.
were like the one they
I,
circled that they really wanted was at BYU, and they got it. So I think a lot shows up.
Yeah, the venue itself. I mean, you can make a roadie out of it. And here's the other deal: you got Thanksgiving week, so it falls into a time where maybe people are taking off work, or as a school teacher, I'm off this week, and maybe others are as well. So you make a little vacay out of it.
Well, and you got, I don't know how far Las Vegas is from there, but Las Vegas has that Formula One race going on, and they pretty much shut down Vegas, that Formula One race. So who knows? I mean,
Yeah, that is true.
yeah, nothing compares to Gaylord. You're right, Blake, but I like road venues. I like going on the road. I like watching OU on the road almost as much as I do in Norman. I just like it. I like going on the road with being not the heavy crowd and just showing up and dominating, shutting them down. So hopefully that's what we see today. I don't, Jeremy, any key injuries you're looking for today? I think Guyton's back probably.
Jay, again, until I see someone in warmups, I can't really comment because guys like Desan McCullough, guys that we expected to play last week, didn't. So I expect Desan McCullough to be back. I mean, unless his is a more serious thing than we thought. I just thought he was banged up a little bit. So I think Desan McCullough is back. At least I hope so. And then everyone else, I mean, other than the guys we know are out, I don't expect anyone else to be out.
You wouldn't think so, but who knows? With this team, I think every week you kind of get surprised by somebody that's not playing, right?
Yeah, you do. That's absolutely true with this team, and honestly, with you know, we don't know what happens in practice. Really, we haven't got to report anything since midweek. So, I expect anyone else that we thought would play would be out there today, Jay.
Yeah, Jackson doesn't think Gentry's playing. I haven't heard anything on that, Jackson. I don't know either, but I don't know. It's very well he probably won't play. I
I
mean,
mean, he's banged up a lot, so if they're trying to get him 100% healthy, it doesn't seem like he's a guy that can play every week because he does get banged up, and he hasn't really been able to really get rid of that.
I agree with you, Coconut Greg. They got to be focused today, and they need to start off strong, get a lead, put them away,
If you
and
remember
move on.
last week they didn't start off strong. They did offensively, but defensively, West Virginia went right down the field on them.
Yeah, but then they shut it down after that.
For sure, yeah.
So, but Jeremy, you've heard BB, you've heard other people say it. The very first drive on defense is one of the hardest drives of the whole game. You don't know what they're going to do. They've scripted it. It's very different than settling in and getting used to their normal offense. I think the first drives are very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to bring some kind of trickery or do something different, but OU has to just go up early, put this game away. Don't make it even a question mark. Gabriel's numbers should be elite. I want to see Drake Stoops over 100.
Yeah, Jeremy, you're cutting out a little bit, but one thing I want to say too, the BYU fan base seems just like such a classy fan base. I mean, you saw the video they put out about the Selmans, and they just seem like they are legit classy fan base, almost like I mean, I guess you could maybe compare it to like a Nebraska fan base, maybe, but they seem classy. They seem like they know the sport, they know football really well, and it's different than when you play other teams, right? They just seem like a real cool fan base, and that's another reason why I was wanting to go, just because I think it'd be a good road site with good fans and everything like that. Let's see. Blake said, I think they will try to use a receiver Chase Roberts a lot in trick plays. Okay, that's interesting, Blake. I haven't watched a whole lot of BYU this year. I watched a little bit last week against Iowa State. Yeah, they always travel well, Coconut Greg. Always. Um, Blake says he can't stand their fans sometimes because they always think they are better than they actually. Blake, maybe so, but isn't that typical of about 95% fan bases? I mean, I saw people last night on Twitter posting OU's schedule next year in the SEC, and they were saying 12-0, 12-0, and I'm like, that's a little bit ahead of yourself too. So I think that's kind of normal with most fan bases. Yeah, Utah and BYU do not like each other. And here's the thing: Utah and OU are kind of on this common ground right now. They are kind of Utah loves OU, OU roots for Utah, all because of the Lincoln Riley deal, and it's kind of been a common ground for them. And I saw a lot of people on Utah fan bases basically saying they want OU to destroy BYU and run up the score today. So that'll be interesting. I know that what do they call that game? It's the War. What is the name of that BYU Utah game? Uh, I think it's Holy War. Is that it? Maybe that's right. I think it's Holy War. But yeah, and hey, that's why I know BYU in the Big 12. You got BYU, Utah. It's going to be great when they get over to the conference and they can play each other. And that rivalry, I saw. Let's see, I was in Las Vegas 3 years ago about this time. It was earlier in like September, I think. In Utah and BYU were playing. I think they were playing at the Las Vegas Stadium. It was a madhouse. Uh, the BYU fans everywhere. And maybe it wasn't Utah that week. I can't remember, but BYU fans were everywhere, and they travel so good. So yeah, Holy War. That's what I thought. Anything nationally, guys, that you're watching for today? Is it just OU, OSU, and Texas? Is that your main focus, or is there anything you're watching? Yeah, the BYU football team represents an entire religion. They take it seriously. Yeah, I mean that's true. And the thing is, BYU, you got a lot of veterans on the team. Whatever sport they had, they usually have a lot of veterans because of either going away on mission and all that thing. So should be interesting. I'm wondering. I thought their coach was really good, but now just this year's team surprised me with BYU. Yes, I did know Steve Young is a descendant of Brigham Young. Correct. He's not only one of the quarterbacks. You also had Ty Detmer, that was a BYU alum, really good player. You also have a guy in the NFL right now, I believe, the guy for the Saints. What is his name?
Oh, Hill, Taysom Hill.
Tatum Hill. Tatum Hill's a BYU guy. And that's right, Jimmy. This is what we talked about earlier. Listen, OU, this is their third road game of the year, basically. They were horrible in the last two. So I don't know how confident you can be going into this game, Jeremy.
Hey, Jay.
Yeah.
Dal Poa said Steve Young's a descendant, not just a player at Brigham Young.
Oh, okay. I didn't read that right. Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know he was an actual descendant of Brigham Young. I knew
I did not know.
And Blake, you bring up, you raise an interesting point. I do think there's some changes that need to happen right now at BYU, because it wasn't long ago where they were actually considered one of the best, I guess you could say, non-Power 5 programs, and now they're in a Power 5 conference, and it just doesn't seem like they're adjusting to some things. Coconut Greg, I do as well. Look, Canick, pure talent-wise, this guy is the guy. I mean, we want him to be the guy. He played better last week. Let's build on that. Let's see him maybe create a turnover. I'd love to see the ball in his hands after an interception, because I think he's pretty special running too.
Yeah, Zach Wilson also from there. But you know what's different about this year's BYU team to me, just watching a few things I've watched from them? Usually BYU and Utah, those two teams, one thing you can say about them when they come in to play you, they're tough. This team kind of doesn't look as tough and physical as teams in the past at BYU. So I don't know. Even the coach doesn't really know what's going on defensively. I mean, he's kind of at a loss. So it should be interesting today. I think OU rolls.
And that's the thing. Their defense is atrocious.
They are. But their offense isn't good either.
No, there's no excuse. There's zero excuse. I will be livid if this game is anywhere close to being a game.
If this game isn't over by half, you're going to be disappointed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They look bad.
And they don't have an identity offensively at all. You talked about OU earlier in the year not having one. BYU has zero identity. They don't.
If OU can do what they did last week, which was they did have a little identity last week, OU, I thought, and it was
Yep.
run the ball with Sawchuk and play action out of it, keep Gabriel kind of in the middle of the pocket, look over the middle of the field. You can even use the tight end. Okay, I'd like to see Stogner again over the middle of the field a couple of times.
That was probably the most play action they've ran this year. Last
It
week,
was.
don't you think?
I'd have to go look and recount number of play actions in other games, but that is what Gabriel is best at. Now, will he be great at the zone read today? Will he use his legs? I hope so. He's better when he does. He's got to make the right reads, though.
This game should not affect OU playing early because they play it all the time. I think it will have a little bit of an effect on BYU, but specifically, I think the BYU fans. It's just different. It's a different atmosphere. OU's used to it. BYU's not.
Brent Venables, when he got off the plane, he wanted to play a aggressive, suffocating style, and I think you do that on both sides on the line. And what Blake says probably happens. They're done.
It should happen, and
You
regardless
can't
of it,
give them an inch of a belief. If you do, you're asking for it.
well, and that's what happened in the Kansas and OSU game. They got behind early, both games. Remember OSU? They were down 17-7. I don't remember what the score was at Kansas. I know it was 7-0 off the pick six. You can't have that. You can't let a team get a chance or get hope.
Is Jackson still on there? If he is, maybe he can give us any updates that he's noticed or seen or anything. But I don't know if he's still on here because they should be warming up, on-field warm-up here shortly.
Yeah.
I do expect to see Stutzman and Kip Lewis together starting it off. I do think with the way Canick played, there's some possibility they could rotate those three kind of together.
Yeah, I think you could see that. But I think Stutzman and Kip together last week were great. I mean, Kip made
I do
some
know that
mistakes.
when Canick came in last week,
Canick
two out
was
of
good.
the first four plays he played was either a run blitz or pass blitz, which is what he needs to be doing. He's a guy that's got to go north-south, cannot go east-west as well.
Yeah, and hey, Kimberly, that's a great point, and I've heard that from multiple players that they do like the early games because they're not sitting around. I think fans love the prime time at night, can tailgate all day, drink whatever they do, but players like to get up and get going. So
yeah, you had the pick six early against Kansas. Look, I mean, mistakes are going to do that. That's bad if you make those mistakes. Coconut Greg, I think everyone wants to see more of Gibson. I hope we do today. His tweet was interesting this week about standing on business. If that means that he thinks he's going to play more, or I don't know what he meant by that, but
Jeremy, if
yeah.
you're an opposing defensive back, probably when they get out there and warm ups, what's the first thing they probably do? They look at the other team. If you just looked at OU wide receiver core, who's the one guy you probably don't want to guard?
No, it's Gibson. And second, the guy you probably don't want to guard is Nick Anderson because he's pretty physical.
That's what I'm saying. Those two guys, just their height and it's not like Gibson's a tall receiver, but like a 2-star receiver. He was a 4-star out of high school. The dude can play.
Now, hey, I will say this. Gibson, if you say Gibson and Anderson, Jay, they're a little bit different. They're both, they're tall, but Anderson has proven to be better coming across the middle of the field on crossing routes. He hasn't really gone up and just out grabbed someone for the ball like Gibson has. Gibson seems to be that kind of guy. Whereas Anderson is more of a possession type of receiver, does run well after he makes the catch. But would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. But I think Gibson's working on his short game because I think if you do him these little quick hooks that they throw Farouk and stuff, he's physical enough to break a tackle and go long ways with it. So I think he could be using that game like Farouk is kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
They 100% will yell that, Blake. Every game, they'll yell that.
And a lot of people don't like that.
What do you think about that, Jeremy?
You know,
does it bother you?
It seems like it's a tradition. I don't have any issues with it. Who else? Is Adebore going to play more? Is Bowen going to play more? I sure hope so. Of course, if it's a blowout, they're going to unload everyone.
And that's fine with me. Unload them all. I'm
agree.
ready for a blowout. I'm ready for a road game blowout and not sitting here fourth quarter worried if OU's going to win.
I agree, and I want to see Sawchuk. It would be his third straight. It would be his third straight 100-yard performance, which is pretty special. And you're right. We won't know how good of a receiving core OU has until next year when Jackson Arnold is spraying it around everywhere, slinging the ball everywhere around the field, making progressions. But right now, that's not happening. I do think, Jay, if OU were to get up maybe 35 points, look, at some point, I think they could maybe pull Gavin Freeman out of the punt. I don't even know why Freeman's back there anyway. Give someone else a stinking chance.
Well, I think he's back there because they were pretty trustworthy in him. But
He's got the yips, Jay.
But lately, it's been not as good. I would agree with that.
You remember when I had the yips chipping? Gavin Freeman has them.
That's most of the time I've golfed with you. You look like you have the yips. I think Stogner does get more action.
I hope
think they found something there. And if you go to
they found some. They didn't find anyone. They just found someone standing wide open in the middle of the field unguarded because he has been all year.
But if you go to the history of DG, Jeremy, what I'm saying is, once he finds out and he makes some completions to guy, he goes to him a lot. He's very, I want to say 1 to 2 receiver focused. And now that he's found something with Stogner, you're going to see it a lot more. That's just kind of the way
what he found was it's pretty good if you go to your third and fourth progression sometimes because those guys are wide open.
Yeah, I would agree.
You got to trust, and part of that is a trust. If you got a 2-yard slant with Farouk and the guy's on his back, do you throw it and get 3 yards, or do you trust that your third, fourth progression are doing their job and getting open because it could be a bigger play? And I think that's where he's been lacking as far as DG. Viewers, do you agree with that?
I agree with that. And I agree with Jimmy. Petaway.
I agree.
Petaway or Peyton Bowen. If you watch any of Peyton Bowen in high school, the guy was a machine on special teams. Machine.
Absolutely. And he's elite at the Ryan Broyles plays. You know, the quick screens. He gets 8 when most guys get 3, and he didn't do anything special. He's just fast.
Yeah.
And Brennan Thompson today, yeah, Peyton, you're right.
That's 100% correct.
You're right. Go back to the 3 games. SMU, Kansas, OSU did not use his legs. They weren't good offensively. I think there's a correlation there.
Yeah, the BYU guys saying that's probably because they saw Davis Bevel last year and how bad he was. But
Blake, if DG breaks his legs, Arnold would be horrible, but they would probably win worse.
They're going to put Arnold in if he gets hurt.
If he gets hurt, Arnold's coming in. They're going to waste the red shirt, which they absolutely should do because it's not a waste. He doesn't need a red shirt because he's not playing in the college football 3 years.
I would think that Bowen's injury is improving because he's not playing that much. I would think it's getting better, right? Lower leg injury,
I would think. I mean, he played 5 to 7 plays last week, right?
Yeah, he played a little bit, but I'm just saying, like,
Blake,
you would think it's better.
If DG goes down and it's an injury where he's going to be gone, he's not coming back in the game, 100% Jackson Arnold's coming in.
Unless the injury comes with us up by 30.
Yeah, I mean, if OU's up 40 points, they may see if DG can come back next week. But next year, I think General Booty probably transfers. Next year, the backup quarterback's probably going to be Michael Hawkins.
I would think Michael Hawkins as well. True freshman next year. So
true freshman.
You have that's the thing. You don't have experience next year at all.
No.
In the quarterback room. So
I don't care about experience when I'm talking about Jackson Arnold. The guy is.
No, I'm saying if he got injured.
Hey, listen, I've talked people up before, Jay, and I shouldn't have talked them up. They weren't that good. This is a guy you can talk up because he's going to be special. Promise you. Take it to the bank.
Yeah. And Hawkins can be a decent backup. I agree.
He can be a decent backup. And if Booty stays, Booty may be the backup.
You know, a guy that kind of his career is just kind of feel sorry for the guy, but Nick Evers, he was at OU, transferred to Wisconsin, back up there. I mean, feel bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have to stick out of school where you can play and get some opportunity because I think he's pretty good. I just don't think he's got an opportunity.
Coconut Greg, it's not really ragging on Bevel because you can count on him in a tight game. You can count on him. You know what you're getting. It's awful. You can count on him. You can count on it. It's awful. He's
You're gonna
probably
get
the
a
most
hand off.
consistent guy on the team.
Yeah, he'll be good at handing it off if he comes in.
The thing is, he had some good games in Pittsburgh. I guess we're basing it all against that Texas game, and it was atrocious. That's all you got to go off.
It was atrocious, but it's hard to really blame him for that.
I think actually, Ray Gunn, I think Bevel's a good locker room guy. Everything I've heard, he's a pretty good locker room guy. Guys love him. I mean,
yeah, and he's getting paid at OU NIL, so
yeah, I mean, kudos to him. It's just that the bad game against Texas is kind of where it was at. So,
yeah, so everybody drop your scores in the comments before we get off here. Make sure you're dropping your scores in there and getting ready for this game.
Yeah, mass exodus of the stadium. You're right. Can't hit the broadside of a barn with the football. Yeah, drop your scores in here. So listen, after the game, we should be on. We are going to be on tonight at 9:30, guys, for probably the second half of that Texas Iowa State game. Will be going on. We'll be on here to cover the entire day's games, including OU BYU at 9:30. We may do something right after the game as well. So just pay attention. Depends on how things are going. With our dad as well, but we will be on at 9:30 tonight for sure. Maybe even right after the game. We see the scores coming in. We'll have our usual trivia tonight. Picks. Blake is getting to the stadium, hopefully seeing a lot of crimson there at the stadium, Blake. But yeah, appreciate you guys joining us
today. What's for lunch today? What's for lunch today for you?
I think we're just going to do some cold cut trios, maybe some chips and queso here at the house. Kind of going to be in and out. So
nice.
All right. Hey, we won't be doing the watch along today.
Now maybe during the Texas game tonight.
Maybe during the Texas game, but we aren't going to be during the OU game. Jay's got a cheer competition. I may be in and out at the hospital. We'll just see how that goes. But guys, appreciate you joining us. We will be watching the game. I promise you that. And we'll be on after at some point today to talk. But you guys are great again, as always. Thanks for being here. Blake, enjoy the game. Enjoy the atmosphere. Appreciate you giving us some info there of the weather and things like that. But taco soup is always a win. Always a win. Taco soup on Saturdays. Appreciate you guys. Coconut Greg, thanks for the prayers again. And appreciate all you guys do. Appreciate it. Till next time, guys and gals. Boomer.
Sooner.
Thanks for the prayers.